I'm laughing. Y'all joke about Hammer? No, 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 no. That was deep with niggas. And he used to what anybody who talked come to the Bay Area, they was in for it. Cause we seen it. I seen it. And he was very serious.
These are the wild confessions from rap icons who learned fast that MC Hammer was not the one to mess with. Redman found that out face to face. The Newark legend, known for that raw 90 seconds chaos and confidence, always said whatever came to mind, no filter, no fear. While crafting his 1992 debut, What? The album, read through in a skit called Funky Uncles, clowning Hammer, and even mentioning his mama in the mix. That's bold, cause in hip-hop, talking about someone's mom is crossing the line big time.
We was already in Oakland with EPMD, and we damn near had to bounce up out of there for that. Cause they had back here, back here, back here. We had to get the
Red thought it was harmless fun, just rap talk. But 3 years later, at the final Yo, MTV Raps taping in '95, reality hit hard. MC Hammer pulled up calm and serious. No cameras, no yelling, just that silent, heavy energy. He pulled Red aside, looked him in the eye, and made it clear, things just got real. Red later said that when they touched down in Oakland, Hammer's crew had them surrounded like a full movie scene, but nothing about it was funny. These weren't bodyguards or hype men. These were real street dudes ready to move over just a few bars from a skit. Hammer wasn't just a flashy rapper in big pants. He had real power behind that smile. Red admitted they had to dip quick. Back in the 90 seconds, rap beefs weren't internet talk, no tweets, no DMs, no fake peace. If you ran your mouth, you handled it face to face. And in the Bay, running your mouth about Hammer was risky business. But Red's story was just one warning. MC Search from Third Bass found that out too, and his run-in with Hammer felt straight out of a gangster flick. It kicked off in 1989 when Third Bass dropped the Cactus album. They threw in a line, "The Cactus turned Hammer's mother out," thinking it was just a clever flip on Hammer's hit, "Turn This Mother Out." MC Search and Pete Nice swore it was just wordplay, a brag that their record hit harder. But Hammer didn't find it funny, not at all. He thought they were disrespecting his actual mom, and in hip-hop, that's crossing a serious line. After that bar dropped, there was no taking it back. MC Search later claimed Hammer allegedly put a $50,000 hit on Third Bass, using connections tied to the Rollin' 60 Seconds, Crips, one of LA's most feared crews. Suddenly, it wasn't just rap beef, it was survival. Search, said Hammer's brother, Louis Burrell, even called someone at Def Jam with a chilling message. The group had gone too far. From then on, their L.A. trips turned into pure paranoia, getting tailed, switching routes, and rocking bulletproof vests just to feel safe. Picture this, a rap crew dropping an album but moving like they were in witness protection. That's how deep it got. At their release party, MC Search said the tension was insane. People in the room weren't fans or press, just silent faces with that heavy, dangerous energy. That fear stuck with him for years. Search later admitted the trauma hit so hard he needed therapy for decades just from being hunted over a few lyrics. Some still argue the story got exaggerated, but the twist? $2 Hort himself confirmed parts of it. $2 Hort said Hammer had real pull. People moved for him out of respect, not money. That's what made Hammer stand out. His power wasn't built on music hype or clout, it was street-level loyalty. And speaking of Oakland legends, next up was one of Hammer's own $2 Hort, the independent king selling tapes straight from his trunk before it was even a trend. When Hammer blew up in the late 80 seconds with that clean, family-friendly image, tension started bubbling in Oakland. Both he and $2 Hort were hometown giants, but they moved in totally different lanes. Hammer chasing mainstream shine, $2 Hort keeping it raw and street. Two bosses, same city, same mission to put Oakland on the map. There was respect, sure, but also that quiet competition, little slick lines and songs, sideways jabs here and there. You could feel it in the air whenever their names came up. But both were sharp enough to keep it cool. They knew if things got ugly, it wouldn't just hurt music, it could mess up the streets too. $2 Hort later said plenty of rappers made the big mistake of underestimating Hammer. People saw the flashy moves, the shiny suits, the massive crowds, and thought Hammer was soft. But anyone who really knew Oakland knew better. That clean image was just the surface. Underneath was a man with deep street ties and serious respect. Behind him stood his brother, Louis, a powerful figure who didn't play about disrespect. In the Bay, there's a code: you can joke, you can compete, but some lines you just don't cross. $2 Hort always kept it real about that, saying no matter their differences, he and Hammer were from the same soil, the same city, and real always recognizes real. And that energy traveled far. Big Boy from Outkast never had beef with Hammer, but even he said it down south. Everyone knew Hammer wasn't the one to test. Outkast rose out of Atlanta in the mid-92nd, right when Southern hip-hop was stepping out of the shadows and taking over for real. The South wasn't just watching New York and LA go at it anymore. It was building its own empire, brick by brick, and even as Outkast created their own lane, they still paid respect to the legends who came before them. One name always came up, MC Hammer. Big Boy kept it 100, saying straight up, Hammer will beat you up. No jokes, no exaggeration, just facts. That's how much weight Hammer's name carried. Coming from someone like Big Boy, who repped a city known for real street energy, that meant something big. Back in the 90 seconds, when hip-hop was full of coast-to-coast tension, the South was watching and learning. Artists like Outkast respected more than just hit records. They looked at who had real-world respect. And Hammer, even with his clean image, proved he was solid when the cameras weren't rolling. Big Boy's words showed what real respect in hip-hop truly means. It's not just what you rap, it's how you stand when no one's watching. In hip-hop, it's all about who vouches for you, where your name rings, and whether your actions match your talk. Hammer checked every single box, no fake flexing, no empty threats, just a man who handled business with respect and expected it back. That's why even in Atlanta, far from the Bay, artists like Big Boy knew Hammer wasn't one to play with, no matter what the flashy videos showed. Hammer's influence ran deep. It wasn't just about rap beef or street rep, he had vision. He was one of the first rappers to treat hip-hop like a full-blown empire, launching his own label, managing tours, and running bustin' productions before that was even common. He wasn't just dropping hits, he was laying the blueprint for independence. That mindset inspired the next wave of Southern artists who built their own empires. They studied how Hammer turned music into movement and took notes. But Big Boy wanted people to see more. It wasn't just business, it was present. Hammer stayed sharp, fit, confident, and backed by a loyal crew that moved with him anywhere. That mix of strength, loyalty, and respect made people fear him and admire him at the same time. Hammer had the game on lock, and one rapper who got to see that real side of him up close was Fat Joe, the Bronx legend and Terror Squad boss. Joe shared a few stories about Hammer, and every single one paints the same picture. Behind the glitz and big hits, Hammer was a solid dude who demanded respect. One moment stuck with Joe forever. Hammer pulled him aside, looked him dead in the eye, and said, "Don't get it twisted, I can handle mine for real." It wasn't ego, it was about keeping his name straight. Hammer knew that all the flash made some think he was soft, so he made sure even New York's toughest knew what time it was. Joe later explained how deep Hammer's Oakland roots ran. He talked about the fixtures and factor, the real power players who moved things behind the curtain. These weren't random names, they were respected, connected, and Hammer was tight with them all. Hammer's circle ran deep, and family was right at the core. His brother, Louis Burrell, was well known in Oakland, a respected man who didn't play games. Louis wasn't some behind-the-scenes name. He was solid, connected, and always made sure Hammer's business stayed protected. With that kind of backing, Hammer never had to act tough. His network and reputation did all the talking. But Fat Joe made it clear Hammer didn't depend on anyone to hold him down. The man was built like an athlete, performing wild, high-energy shows that would drain most rappers fast. That kind of stamina came with real strength and focus. Joe said Hammer could absolutely handle himself if things ever went left. Their run-in at a Vegas airport said it all. Hammer wasn't proving anything. He just wanted folks to know his image wasn't his whole story. Behind that smile was someone real, solid, and ready. And not everyone needed reminding. E40 from Vallejo already knew exactly what Hammer stood for. E40 always kept it 100 when it came to Hammer. He never questioned the man's roots or how deep his street respect really went. Coming straight out of the Bay himself, E40 had a front row seat to Hammer's rise and knew the real story behind all the flashy headlines. While outsiders laughed at the parachute pants and dance moves, E40 saw the bigger vision. His pride came from Bay Area loyalty. He knew what Oakland was like in the 80 seconds and 90 seconds rough streets, high crime, and a community battling through the crack era. Out of all that chaos, Hammer made it big mainstream success without ever turning his back on where he came from. He didn't fake his past. He flipped it into opportunity and put the Bay on the global map. E40 explained that Hammer's power came from his real connections, the fixtures and factors who held weight in Oakland. These weren't random names. They were respected leaders and real street figures who kept balance in the city. That's what made Hammer more than just a rapper. He was the definition of an intelligent hustler. Hammer was the blueprint of an intelligent hustler, someone who understood street codes but moved with business smarts. He knew how to flip his grind into real success without ever losing his authenticity. The man was strategic. He could sit down with corporate execs in the morning and still pull up to the block at night, showing love. He didn't have to pick a side, he was both. E40 backed up what Fat Joe said too. Hammer wasn't just sharp-minded, he was physically built for it. The constant dancing wasn't just performance, it was training. He stayed active, strong, and ready. Anyone from the Bay already knew Hammer could hold his own if things ever went down. And when E40, one of the Bay's most respected independent legends, vouches for you, that's not light talk. His word is credibility, stamped and sealed. But then there was someone who understood Hammer's power from a much darker angle. Suge Knight. And if you thought Hammer's reputation was serious, Suge's was a whole different level of fear and control. Back in the 90 seconds, the Death Row boss had the entire industry walking on eggshells. Suge Knight was the kind of man who brought muscle to meetings, the same guy rumored to have hung Vanilla Ice over a balcony, and tied to some of the wildest moments in hip-hop history. Even the hardest names in LA gave Suge space. Nobody wanted that smoke. So when he admitted he respected and even feared MC Hammer, that said it all. In old interviews, Suge called Hammer one of the most dangerous men in the game, not because of violence, but because of influence. Hammer had real loyalty, real backing, and people who moved for him out of pure respect, not cash. Imagine that the same Suge Knight feared across the industry, saying Hammer was someone he'd never crossed. That's not just respect, that's fear mixed with admiration. Their bond ran deep. When Hammer signed to Death Row in '95, everything stayed cool, no beef, no tension, just mutual respect between two powerful men. And when Tupac passed in '96, Hammer quietly left the label with zero drama, a rare move in that era. That alone showed Suge saw him differently. And that connection didn't stop there. Michael Concepcion, one of the original Crips founders, even had his own story about meeting Hammer in LA. That encounter proved just how deep Hammer's reach really went. Not just in music or business, but through networks of power and respect most rappers could only dream of. When someone like Suge Knight, the man known for running the game through fear, admitted Hammer had more pull than him, that wasn't gossip, that was legend-level truth. Hammer wasn't just a star, he was a force. The very next day, Michael Concepcion, one of the original Crip founders, actually apologized to Hammer and told him they were cool. Think about that, a street icon showing respect with no threats, no drama, just understanding. That's real power. Suge saw it firsthand. And that's exactly why he never tried to control Hammer like he did other artists on Death Row. There was no intimidation to play. Suge knew better. Hammer wasn't the type you could corner. His presence demanded respect before he even spoke a word. Even producer Lamar Lubin, who worked with both Hammer and Death Row, said it straight. Hammer was a real one, claiming he was more gangster than Suge Knight or even Eazy-E. Here's the twist. Hammer never flaunted his power. He didn't brag or flex about being tough or connected. His clean, church-going image was his armor. Behind that calm smile was a man who moved with precision and handled serious business when he had to. While others shouted about being real, Hammer lived it quietly. Even the hardest West Coast moguls knew his respect ran deep. His silence wasn't weakness, it was control. And speaking of West Coast legends who learned that lesson firsthand, Ice Cube, the NWA heavyweight, the man who wrote some of the boldest tracks in hip-hop history, had to move carefully around Hammer. Their tension sparked in 1991 when Cube dropped the video for True to the Game. In it, he showed a flashy rapper in glittery outfits getting kidnapped and tossed in a trunk, a not-so-subtle shot at Hammer. The message? Cube was calling him a sellout chasing pop, fame, and money. Here's where Cube messed up. He thought Hammer would just laugh it off or maybe toss a few bars back. What he didn't know was that Hammer didn't play those games. He wasn't built for sneak disses or subliminals. Where he came from, disrespect had real-life consequences. Cube was about to learn that lesson fast. And when you talk fearless rappers, Tupac Shakur always tops the list, a man who dissed Bad Boy Records, the East Coast, and survived 5 bullets just to walk out of the hospital like it was nothing. Pac feared nobody, but even Pac knew some lines in Oakland you never crossed, and one of those was MC Hammer. Before fame, Pac lived in the Bay, running with cats like Richie Rich and Spice, one real Oakland figures who knew the city's code. He heard the stories firsthand about who held weight, and Hammer's name always came up. Sure, Pac joked about Hammer's pop sound sometimes, but he never disrespected him. Not once. Pac's Oakland crew made sure he understood what time it was. Hammer wasn't just a hometown celebrity. He was deeply connected. Richie Rich, Spice One, and the rest weren't just artists. They were tied into the real pulse of the city. They told Pac straight up, that's not the one to play with. Pac could call out anyone the industry's toughest names, but when it came to Hammer, he moved smart. Hammer wasn't about empty threats or clout chasing. He had real people behind him, loyal and ready if things ever went sideways. In Oakland, respect wasn't just earned, it was returned, and Hammer had that locked down. Even Pac, the man who went at Death Row, Bad Boy, and Dre knew better than to cross that line. It wasn't about fear, it was about respect. Every city has those OGs whose names carry quiet power, and in Oakland, Hammer was one of them. His influence ran deep, organized, respected, and felt by everyone who mattered. Pac was bold, but smart enough to recognize real power when he saw it, and the fact that he tread carefully around Hammer says it all. If you're vibing with this breakdown, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.